At 80, most people fear a flight of stairs. Yet Yūichirō Miura stood on Everest's summit after heart surgeries, defying biology and tripling his risk of cardiac arrest. The official record books call it a miracle, but hidden in his ascent is a question. Can the limits of age truly be pushed this far? Or did Miura's audacious climb expose a boundary even he shouldn't have crossed? Here's what the science, and one man's brutal preparation, really reveal. At extreme altitude, the body's limits are not just tested, they are revealed. For anyone past middle age, Everest's thin air and brutal cold magnify the penalties of time. By age 75, the body's maximum oxygen uptake typically sinks to less than 60% of what it was in early adulthood. That number drops even further in the Himalayas, where oxygen levels at base camp already cut capacity by another quarter. For an octogenarian, this means working with less than half the oxygen processing power of a young climber, before even facing the steepest slopes. The heart works overtime in these conditions. Studies of trekkers and climbers show that for those over 75, the risk of a serious cardiac event at base camp is 3 times higher than for climbers under 60. Arrhythmias, angina, and sudden heart failure are not rare exceptions. They are documented realities. The cold slows muscle repair, and age accelerates muscle loss, sarcopenia, leaving even the fittest seniors with less strength and slower recovery after each day's push. Acclimatization, the process of adapting to low oxygen, also slows with age, making altitude sickness more likely and less predictable. This medical reality sets the stage for what comes next. The story of a man who, at 80, attempted what most physiologists would call impossible. Yūichirō Miura's path to the summit at age 80 was anything but reckless bravado. Years before his record-breaking climb, Miura had already become a legend by skiing down Everest's South Col in 1970, a feat that required both daring and meticulous planning. By the time he set his sights on returning to the top in 2013, his body carried the legacy of multiple heart surgeries and a stubborn arrhythmia that would have sidelined most athletes. Yet Miura's approach was defined by control, not denial. Training sessions took place on the steep stairs of Tokyo skyscrapers, often with a weighted backpack to mimic the strain of high altitude. His cycling regimen pushed his heart and lungs to adapt, all under the close watch of his medical team. On the mountain, Miura was never alone. His son, Gota, climbed alongside him, checking his pulse and relaying daily health updates to doctors in Tokyo. Every major decision, from pacing to summit timing, was made with medical telemetry in hand. When symptoms of arrhythmia resurfaced at Camp 3, Miura's summit bid nearly ended. But after a night of monitoring and careful assessment, the team judged the risk manageable enough to continue. Miura's strategy extended beyond the climb itself. After reaching the summit, exhaustion forced him to accept a helicopter evacuation from Camp 2, a move that some purists debate, but which underscores his commitment to survival over ego. His success wasn't a triumph over age, but a study in how experience, support, and technology can stretch the boundaries of what the human body, at any age, can endure. Carlos Soria Fontan stands apart for his measured approach to the world's highest mountains. Born in 1939, Soria didn't summit his first 8,000er until he was 51. Since then, he has reached the top of 12 of the world's 14 peaks, above 8,000 meters, many of them after turning 70. Soria's method is built on patience and planning. He trains every day, regardless of weather or setbacks, focusing on gradual improvement rather than sudden leaps. His expeditions are marked by long acclimatization periods, careful pacing, and a willingness to turn back when conditions turn dangerous. Soria often climbs with partners much younger than himself, but it's his steady rhythm and restraint that set the tone for the team. He's known for saying, "Strength declines, but knowledge and self-control improve." For Soria, longevity in the mountains is not about brute force, but about understanding the terrain, listening to his body, and making decisions that keep him alive to climb another day. Mario Villagrán's ascent of Aconcagua at age 82 began not on the mountain, but in a clinic. Before setting foot on the slopes, Villagrán submitted to a battery of cardiopulmonary exercise tests, CPET, designed to measure the body's ability to use oxygen under stress. Doctors monitored his heart rate, blood pressure, and oxygen saturation as he pedaled a stationary bike, the resistance rising in careful increments. The results surprised even the medical team. Villagrán's cardiac reserve, the heart's capacity to increase output during exertion, matched that of athletes decades younger. His VO2 max, a key predictor of endurance at altitude, fell within the range expected for competitive climbers in their 40s. Armed with this data, his support team drafted a climbing protocol tailored for an octogenarian, scheduled rest stops, continuous pulse oximetry, and medication to control blood pressure and prevent arrhythmia. Each stage of the climb was tracked against baseline test results, with the authority to turn back resting as much with the medical monitors as with Villagrán himself. In this way, objective measurement, not age, set the terms for the attempt. For Villagrán, the summit was not a challenge to biology, but a demonstration of what modern medicine and disciplined preparation can reveal about the limits of the aging body. Tamae Watanabe approached Everest with a quiet determination that stood apart from the spotlight. At age 63, she became the oldest woman to reach the summit. A decade later, she returned and broke her own record, standing on the top of the world at 73. Her path was shaped not by fanfare, but by steady resilience. Support came from local guides and a network of women porters, many of whom had long been excluded from the upper ranks of Himalayan expeditions. Unlike some of her male peers, Watanabe often had to fund her climbs herself. Sponsorships for senior women climbers in Japan were rare, and media coverage of her achievements lagged behind the reality on the mountain. Still, her motivation never wavered. Living at the foot of Mount Fuji, she trained in silence, focused on the next step rather than the next headline. Asked about her record, she answered simply, "If you have the energy, you can do it." For Watanabe, the climb was never about proving a point. It was about honoring her own endurance and the quiet strength found in persistence. Climbing Everest at 80 is not just a test of body and will. It's a feat underpinned by technology and careful investment. Modern expeditions equip senior climbers with oxygen regulators set to deliver a steady 2 to 3 liters per minute, a life-saving margin when lung capacity is limited. Hypoxic training chambers costing tens of thousands of dollars. Let climbers pre-acclimatize at home, simulating the thin air of Himalayan camps before ever leaving sea level. Medevac insurance and helicopter standby contracts can double or triple the cost of an expedition, adding tens of thousands more to a budget that already ranges from $40,000 to $100,000. Lightweight gear, custom prosthetics, and real-time health monitoring further drive up expenses. These tools and services reduce, but never erase, the risks of age at altitude, making every step toward the summit as much a product of support as of strength. In 2017, Min Bahadur Sherchen, age 85, died at Everest Base Camp while attempting to reclaim his title as the oldest summiteer. His sudden cardiac failure, despite months of preparation, reignited debate in Nepal and abroad about the wisdom of allowing very elderly climbers to attempt the world's highest peak. Lawmakers proposed age caps, some suggesting 75, others 80, but no consensus was reached. Opponents argued that fitness, not age, should decide eligibility, while advocates pointed to the strain on rescue teams and the risks to guides tasked with supporting frail clients. Today, Nepal still has no maximum age for Everest climbers. But Shurchin's death hangs over every permit issued to those in their 70s and 80s. The line between personal freedom and collective responsibility remains sharply contested. In 2013, Yūichirō Miura became the oldest person to summit Everest at age 80, a record certified by Guinness and achieved after multiple heart surgeries, extensive physical testing, and with real-time medical supervision. Carlos Soria, climbing 12 of the world's 14 highest peaks after age 51, and Mario Villagrán, reaching Aconcagua at 82, with clinical fitness scores matching far younger athletes, show that age alone does not dictate ability. Tamae Watanabe's Everest summit at 73 further breaks both gender and age barriers. Yet despite modern oxygen systems, advanced gear, and rigorous screening, the risk of cardiac events for climbers over 75 remains at least 3 times higher than for younger counterparts. Nepal's ongoing debate about upper age limits, triggered by the fatal 2017 attempt of Min Bahadur Shershan, underscores that these achievements come with unresolved ethical and medical questions. The evidence is clear. While aging changes the rules, it does not erase the summit. What remains unknown is how far preparation and technology can push those new boundaries, and at what cost.